Please pray with me. Come, Holy Spirit, come and descend upon our flesh, opening our eyes and our ears and our minds and our hearts to understand and see and know the truth of your holy word this day. Today, January 6th, is the Epiphany. Today is the day that tradition tells us the wise men arrived and found the baby Jesus. And just as Christmas is always December 25th, Epiphany is always January 6th. Epiphany follows the 12th day of Christmas. And as such, it is tradition to keep Christmas decorations up through Epiphany as we continue to celebrate Christ's birth. And so on this Epiphany Sunday, we hear from Matthew the story of the wise men from the east arriving and presenting their gifts before the baby Jesus. And yet, as wonderful as the story is, it also raises a red flag for us. There is something very wrong within this nation whose king has just been born. It is foreigners from another country who realize that something important has happened in the land of Israel. But those within Israel, those who are the most learned, the wisest among them, they have no idea what is going on under their noses. King Herod has to find out from these Eastern visitors when this event took place. It is the Gentiles, the people not of the nation of Israel, who are aware of what the God of Israel is doing. You can almost hear Paul Harvey saying, and now the rest of the story. As we realize that below this beautiful undertaking of wise men following a star, something brews that's very disturbing. And it is by reading a little further into Matthew's Gospel that we learn just how wrong things are. The Epiphany reading for today ends with the wise men leaving to return home, but only after their plans had been rearranged by a divine warning that was delivered in a dream. And this warning is then followed by another in verses 13 through 15, which this time comes to Joseph, telling him to flee with Mary and the baby to Egypt, because Herod had plans to kill the child. And while Mary and Joseph and Jesus escape, the others in Bethlehem are not so lucky. As in verses 16 through 18, Herod has all children 2 years old and younger in and around Bethlehem murdered. Massacred. We are told that when the wise men found the child, when the star that they had been following stopped, they rejoiced. In fact, on the cover of your bulletin, you will find it where it says most accurately, they rejoiced with exceedingly great joy. There's 4 words there that are needed to describe how much joy they had. And that is the best English translation that we can get to translate the 10 Greek words that are used to convey the joy that they were filled with. This child, who is the source of such rejoicing, who caused the heavenly host to sing, who caused the wise men to search for him, Herod wanted dead. There's something very wrong in the land of Israel. Matthew quotes the prophet Jeremiah describing how horrific the situation was. A voice was heard in Ramah, wailing and loud ugliness of humanity hasn't changed one bit. The only thing that has changed is the way we package it. In our so-called modern world, you've seen the likes of Adolf Hitler, Joseph Stalin, Pol Pot, and more recently, Saddam Hussein, Muammar Gaddafi, and currently in Syria, Bashar al-Assad. And in no way is this an exhaustive list. These are only the rock stars of genocide, those that would rank up right there with Herod. And into our disturbing world, Matthew speaks to us about a great joy. We need to pay attention to what Matthew is saying, because just as we are guilty of thinking that the world of today is far removed from the world of the Bible, we can also think that the God of the Bible is far removed from our circumstances of today, and nothing could be further from the truth. Matthew is asking us, are we wise enough to see the star of Bethlehem? For surely as Christ was in the world then, Christ is in the world now. Do we see his light? Do we see the signs that are pointing us towards him? Or are we like those who, under Herod, couldn't see? If you think about it, we'll realize that the easiest time to see a star is in the dark. You know, I'm not an astronomer like the Mac guy, but I've never noticed a star during daylight. You know, the moon, yeah, you can see the moon sometimes, but I've not seen a star as far as I know. It is in darkness that stars are revealed. Are we wise enough to see that in the darkness of the world around us, the darkness that might surround our own personal situation, can we see there that the Savior of the world is with us? And Matthew also wants to know, do we have the courage to pursue it as the wise men did? Do we have the courage to follow that star right into the teeth of the darkness that tries to snuff it out? Those are the questions that Matthew's Gospel places before us on Epiphany. My friends, may we in this season of Epiphany have the